I do want to talk about our breakfast for everybody at home. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but the FDA has now changed what can be considered quote unquote healthy. So to get that healthy stamp from the FDA, cereals have to contain 3/4 ounces of whole grains and no more than 1 gram of saturated fat. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. There are 7 cereals that do not qualify as healthy based on the FDA's new definition. We're talking about, you see it there, Raisin Bran, Honey Nut Cheerios, Corn Flakes, Honey Bunches of Oats. Then you also have Frosted Mini Wheats, Life, and Special K. And what really stands out on this, at least to me, Dr. Dina, is how much added sugar these cereals really have.
Absolutely. This is something I've been speaking to my patients a lot about as a diabetes doctor. Looking into the actual ingredients of every single thing you eat is extremely important. Cereal is something so quick and easy that we always rely on for breakfast, especially with our children. I have 2 of them. They love eating their cereal in the morning, and Cheerios is on their list as well as Honey Nut Cheerios. But when you look into how much sugar is added into these cereals, you realize that it's just so significant. Not just the honey that's in the Honey Nut Cheerios, but then there's also added sugars, there's dextrose in some of these cereals, and all of those things have been linked to other issues like obesity and diabetes and blood pressure issues. So something that we really need to be looking at every single morning.
And I also want to, let people know about this TikTok fad that's out there, and it's using Ozempic. It has, if you search for that, it's got hundreds of millions of people searching on TikTok. People are saying, hey, this is a drug that can give you some weight loss success, but this is actually a diabetes drug.
That's right. So Ozempic is a diabetes medication. It functions in a way that helps to increase insulin secretion. So it's not an insulin, even though it's an injectable. And what it does is it helps to decrease your satiety. So you feel less hungry. And as a result of that, you end up potentially losing weight. So we found that with some of these patients taking these medications for diabetes, they've also benefited from the weight loss. But these medications are only indicated for people who have type 2 diabetes. It is not indicated for weight loss. There is in that same class of drugs, however, called GLP-1 analogs, in which Ozempic lands, specific medications that are targeted just for obesity that you can talk to your doctor about if you are in that obese category. The names of those medications are Saxenda and Wegovy.
All right, so there is something out there, but don't just start prescribing yourself medication. To that point, there's a new study out that says 1.3 million Americans with diabetes ended up rationing their insulin in the past year.
That's right. And that's an alarming number. And it's mainly because the cost of insulin is sky high. Insulin has been in the market for years, and we know all of the ingredients that help to make up insulin. But despite that, and despite such a huge number of people in our population dealing with diabetes, those insulin costs are sky high. Sometimes they can be up to $3,000 for some of my patients with different insurance coverages. So it's important to make sure that you're getting the right amount of insulin that you need for your monthly supply, because rationing it can also mean that you're taking it away from other people who need it even more, especially our patients with type 1 diabetes who are 100% insulin dependent.
And the CDC put out some numbers, and they found that more than 37 million adults in the US have diabetes, but that 1 in 5 don't know it.
That's right. There's many people that are walking around that actually have diabetes and they haven't been screened. So I think it's extremely important if you have a family history of diabetes, if you're in the overweight or obese category, if you have a strong personal history of having had high sugars in your past, like having gestational diabetes, for example, even if it resolved post-pregnancy. It's extremely important to just get a finger stick checked, which will allow you to know what your glucose levels are, whether or not they're high or they're normal, as well as checking something called a hemoglobin A1C, which is a very simple blood test that can be run that will tell you if you have prediabetes or diabetes. So I would recommend everyone talk to their doctor about this. It's extremely important.